You've been traveling through a cave network for a while now. The rigid stone is a welcome respite from the eerily organic infrastructure you've been encountering, but it is also proving an unwelcome respite from friend making. Maybe it was too much to hope for that this cavern would be home to another potential new buddy. Maybe leaving the big city behind was a horrible mistake. Just maybe. These dark, cold tunnels are completely devoid of, oh, hang on, there's a bunch of buildings in the distance. Oh, hello. I thought you were one of my girls, but you don't look like a Jadeblood. Or anything else, actually. How strange. You convey your usual spiel regarding your circumstances. You are lost and lonely, and your ribs are still broken, you think. Honestly, the ribs are fine. You could just use another friend or two. I see. My first responsibility is to my Jades and the Mother Grub, so I can't make any promises of friendship just yet. But you do look like you need someone to take care of you. Here in the Brooding Cavern, we follow a few simple rules. 1. Don't invite drama from up top down below. 2. Protect the Mother Grub. 3. Have no hierarchy, but do what I say. Let's do everything we can to keep up a current record of dozens of sweeps without any Jades being called. You're not sure what half of those words mean, but you nod your head. Good. I'll take you to our hive. Follow me. You follow her into her hive, which looks like a school or some sort of dormitory, with multiple rooms and multiple floors. Usually, more of my Jades are around. I suppose that everyone is out watching the Imperial drones arrive with the filial pails. Girls, we have another visitor to our caverns. 1. Do not be alarmed by their bizarre appearance. They seem to be harmless and quite weak. 2. Do not give them more injuries than they already have. Our visitor deserves a warm Jadeblood welcome. She claps her hands. No one else is around, but you stand to attention and give her the thumbs up to show that you read her loud and clear. You notice that she called you visitor and not friend, but that's okay. You can do whatever it takes until you're upgraded from visitor to friend, or at least charity case. You follow her upstairs and she stops at a big room on the second floor. When you step into it, you have to clap your hand over your mouth to keep from gagging at the revolting sight. There are big, baby-sized larvae-looking things all over the floor, squirming around and crying and inchworming out of kiddie pools of green slime. What the hell? This is our nursery. Most of these wigglers are sick or injured, so we look after them in here until they're well enough to go back out to the caverns and spin their cocoons. She looks shifty all of a sudden, giving you some side-eye like she's sizing you up. You try to look very non-threatening and also 100% trustworthy. We keep this nursery on the down low. It's not against any laws, but it's something of a break with tradition to save any other grubs instead of just letting them die. To tell you the truth, I'm not sure why we do it. I guess it just feels right to me to take care of them the same way I take care of my Jades. The nursery, huh? You look around again with this new information. You guess you can sort of see how the wigglers look like babies. You can't believe that one of these things could grow up into anything that looks like Bronya, but this is an alien planet, so who knows? She takes you over to a shelf that seems to hold medical supplies. You're not sure what can be done for your broken ribs, but maybe she has some kind of alien technology that can help. But when she starts going through the cabinet, you don't see anything that looks high-tech like the thing that fixed your arm. I guess that most of what we have is stuff for the wigglers, and I'm not familiar enough with your bizarre anatomy to know if it will help. But if you're not completely sure how to do something, it's best to try anyway. 1. Even if you fail, everyone else can still learn from your mistake. 2. Maybe you won't fail. You never know. You're not so sure about applying this ethos to your broken ribs. But she looks so determined. It might be rude to say no. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll heal on my own just fine. Oh, well, if you're sure. I'm worried about you, though. You seem like you need help, and I wish I could help you more. If I can't take care of someone, I'm not sure how we can ever truly be friends. You try to cheer her up, pointing out that friendship is a two-way street after all. She doesn't have to concern herself with her mutilated frame. How can you help her instead? Well, sure, there are things around here that I could use some assistance with. However, don't take this the wrong way, but we've only just met. I don't know that I can trust you to be as responsible as I am. It's not easy to be the one in charge. You have to be 1. Conscientious, 2. Considerate, and 3. Competent at all times. You try to think of times in your life when you've been conscientious, considerate, or competent. You're drawing a bit of a blank, but hey, new planet, new you. You assure that you have what it takes. I guess if you want to prove that you can be responsible, I can let you help me out today. It's a good time for a visit to the Mother Grub. You're careful to step around all the little guys on the floor as you head out of the nursery. she takes you back outside, and these caverns are even bigger than you first realized. They're also dark and cold and gloomy, and you can't see anywhere that might lead up to the planet's surface. Does she really just live down here all the time? To make some conversation during this cold hike in a damp cave, you mention that living underground like this seems kind of depressing. You realize too late that this wasn't very tactful, but she doesn't get angry at your conversational gambit of insulting her home. Oh no, it's very peaceful down here. Well, in comparison to anywhere else. I quite enjoy it. The brooding caverns are a place for life and birth, not death. That's pretty uncommon on Alternia. You're still not sure what she means by brooding caverns, but you guess it has something to do with the wigglers in her nursery. Or you can ask, you reach the top of a ridge and get a new, wider view of the rest of this cavern. It's enormous, probably the size of a small city. All over the cave floor, you see more wigglers crawling everywhere. Cocoons line the cave walls and the larger stalactites, with some young trolls crawling out of them. Walking, flying, and crawling among the wigglers and young trolls are a variety of white monsters, of all kinds and shapes and sizes. In the center of the cavern there is... you don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a huge, many-legged queen bug of some kind, with a goat-shaped skull and horns coming out of her head. Her bulbous sphincter ripples as she lays a continuous stream of hundreds of eggs, from which you assume the gray wigglers will hatch. And marching through all this, you see several hulking bipedal creatures, each carrying 2 buckets either to or away from the mother grub. They look armed, and they move like regimented troops. Soldiers of some kind. You are instinctively terrified of them. This is where the magic happens, and by that I mean the continuation of our species. Jadebloods like myself are entrusted with looking after the process, which is, of course, a very special job. 1. The Imperial drones carry filial pails of genetic material to the mother grub for her slurry. 2. She lays eggs that hatch new grub broods. 3. After the wigglers emerge from their cocoons, the new trolls will go through the trials, and the ones that make it will be selected by Eleusis to help care for them. 4. Together, the young trolls and their Luci go up to the surface together. For the trolls... will grow up, or get cold, or whatever. As Bronya explains troll reproduction to you, one of the Imperial drones veers sharply to the left, and in the process tramples over a few wrigglers and young trolls. The drone continues on, but several of the Luci cry out, crowding around their dead or injured charges. One of them, a gigantic beast that resembles a bison, follows and rears up on its hind legs, hitting one of the other Luci with its front hoof. Oh jeez, not again! This kind of damage control is a lot of what we have to deal with. Whenever Eleusis goes rogue out of grief or confusion, there's the potential for it to lash out at other Luci, the wigglers, or the mother grub herself. We Jadebloods cannot let that happen! She looks so concerned, a marked contrast to how confident she's seen before now. You offered to help her out earlier, and it seems like now's your chance. Someone has to stop that rogue Lucis, and that someone could be... who? Be a weenie. You definitely do not like the idea of wading into a monster fight, not even to save the progenitor of your new friend's species. In fact, you don't like that Bronya is so focused on protecting all these helpless toddlers and distressed animals instead of taking care of you. You stammer out that you don't think you can take on any kind of monster right. In fact, you just felt another stab of pain in your ribs. You might be blacking out. Bronya's concerned face turns in your direction as you start to swoon. She catches you before you hit the ground and your heart flutters. You look up at her serious face and she looks like such a mom, but also such a friend. Like some sort of combination of these two concepts. Nix, you don't look so good. I can't leave you alone, not when you're in such bad shape. Maybe I could carry you on my back while I try to stop the rampaging Lucis. Your heart flutters, turned to pinpricks of alarm. That sounds dangerous, mainly for you. You try to think of what you can say to dissuade her. Something other than, I think you should ignore the helpless babies and mother in danger behind you in favor of continuing to hold me in your strong arms. Before you can speak, you hear a commotion behind her. She turns to look over her shoulder and her face sags with relief. Yes, the other Jades are here. They should know what to do. We've taken care of crises like this before. Of course, usually I'm there to help. If you crane your neck, you can just glimpse a crowd of trolls corralling the rogue Lucis away from the mother grub, while other trolls calm the remaining Luci and swoop up any wrigglers in harm's way. It looks like I needn't have worried. They're more than capable of stepping in while I'm otherwise occupied. I'm so proud. You take this opportunity to compliment her on what a good leader she must be, to have trained the others so well. Super smooth. She beams at you and sets you down carefully on the cavern floor, kneeling at your side. This could have gone badly. I'm glad I didn't make the wrong choice when I stayed to help you instead of rushing off. Just goes to show, sometimes the best thing you can do for the group is take care of the weakest person in it. You kind of want to object to being called the weakest person, but you did just fake a feigning spell for attention, so maybe now wasn't the best time. Instead, you thank her sincerely for sticking by your side. The two of you watch together as order is gradually restored to the chaos below, and even with your injuries, you feel close to content and quite hopeful about how this relationship is progressing. You notice that at your side, several wigglers are blindly squirming around, confused and crying. There are some young trolls here too, looking around all lost and bereft. You're not sure if their Lucii ran off with the others that got involved in the fracas, or if these little guys are orphans now. Now that you're seeing them out in the natural cavern light, the wigglers look less like maggots to you. In fact, they're even kind of cute. You can see why Bronya would want to take care of them. One of the smallest wigglers closest to you has somehow flipped himself over onto his back and seems unable to right himself, his little legs waving in the air while he cries. Trying to be careful with your ribs, you reach out to scoop him up and cradle him to your chest, rocking him back and forth until his cries quiet down. Wow, you have a very strong nurturing instinct. I think he likes you. You almost look like you could be his Lucis, or a jade blood. You are pleased that she approves of your caretaking display. The wiggler's cough breaks through your haze of smug satisfaction, and when you look down, you realize that he seems to be having some trouble breathing. You point this out to Bronya. Good observation. You really are a natural at taking care of other creatures, aren't you? Some find that nurturing ability to be very attractive in a potential friend. But as for the wiggler, this is definitely not a good sign. I'm surprised none of these drones have noticed that he's sick. If we leave him here, he'll be cold for sure. Bronya takes the wiggler from you, and you're more than happy to hand him over, considering that you have no idea what to do with a sick baby that's not your species. Also, your broken ribs make holding a baby kind of painful, and Bronya holds the wiggler carefully but with perfect ease. Just like you hope she'll cradle your new friendship in its infancy. Once Bronya feels assured that her Jades have the situation at the Brooding Caverns under control, you both take the wiggler back to the Jade Blood Nursery. You hover around uselessly while Bronya sets up some kind of crib filled with green slime. You're a little concerned when she takes the wiggler and submerges him under the slime because, he was already having trouble breathing? Surely drowning in slime won't help. The soaper should help strengthen his bellow sacs and soothe his sorrow shoot. His sorrow shoot. When he gets healthy again, I'll take him back to the cavern and set him free to make his cocoon and pupate. But he's so small. It's unlikely that he'll survive the trials or be selected by a Lucis. You hate to see Bronya looking sad. You try to be sympathetic, mentioning your astute observation that this whole system set up with the wrigglers and the trials and the culling seems pretty brutal. What? Oh no, I would never suggest... This is just the way the world works, and it's fine. It's fine. The trials are how young trolls prove that they're strong enough to survive. It's only right for the weak to be culled. It's the purpose of Jade Bloods to ensure the continuation of our species, and consequently the hemospectrum. 1. We are not revolutionaries. 2. We're meant to do our jobs and keep our heads down, and keep things running smoothly. 3. I would never presume to question the basic tenets of Alternian society. That would bring negative attention from the High Bloods, and I just want to keep my Jades safe. You look around at the nursery, and all these injured or underdeveloped wigglers that Bronya was apparently supposed to let die. You think it might not be true that she doesn't question the way her world works. She's looking at you like she's scared you'll call her on it and expose her altruistic tendencies. Did you try to salvage this conversation thread? Did you say that culling wigglers sounded brutal? You meant neutral! Yes, you feel 100% neutral on this topic, neither committed to the culling side of things, nor eager to take up arms in revolution. Ah, yes. Neutral is how I feel about it as well. What a good word to describe exactly how I feel about all controversial political subjects. Did I mention that keeping this nursery isn't technically illegal? Because it isn't. Technically, there's no reason for any of Triss's drones to come investigating our hive. And if any drones do come knocking, we have nothing to hide. No borderline revolutionary ideas will be tolerated within these walls. Bronya laughs nervously and looks around the room, like she's making sure that any Imperial drones hiding in here heard her announcement. You feel bad for how nervous she is. You didn't mean to freak her out. You tell her that she sounds super convincing. And why shouldn't she? Because she's clearly telling the truth. If you were an Imperial drone, you would definitely be satisfied right now with her clearly law-abiding and neutral ways. Thank you. That means a lot. You cast about for something to change the subject and mention that your ribs are feeling a little bit better. Bronya's face brightens, and she lifts up your arm gently so she can touch the injured part of your torso, examining it in her typically responsible and authoritative way. You shiver and wonder if her touch has healing properties. I'm glad to hear that. After all, I don't like it when my friends suffer. Your heart leaps. You look up, scarcely allowing yourself to hope. Could it be? Or was she just making a general statement? If you're not in any more pain, hopefully that means your injuries will heal soon. I'll take care of you until then, my friend. You are overcome. Your eyes fill with tears. Bronya smiles at you and squeezes your hand. Victory! Self-care comes first.